Hello and welcome to Brodual. Today we'll be showing you how you can take the path of the Anti-Mage. This is a mod that adds a new form of magic, or rather anti-magic to Skyrim. Where the vigilance of Stendarr aim to wipe out the Daedra, the Anti-Mage aims to destroy all forms of magic. To effectively hunt mages, you have to become one. A cruel irony forcing you to embrace the very thing you hate the most. The mod introduces the anti-magic playstyle with around 30 new abilities, spells and upgrades. These will help you manipulate the magic of others like no one else, while also granting you powerful new weapons and abilities to cut down every magical foe that awaits you. Your path begins just outside of Skyrim's borders, to the far east and into the Sarathi Boglands. This entirely new area is fairly desolate of life, but still prepare yourself for a fight. After you make your way through the jungle, you'll discover an ancient ritual area, filled with shrines and other decorations. This is where you become an Anti-Mage. Each shrine contains a different perk, spell or ability, which can be unlocked and upgraded by spending a perk point. So you can basically think of each shrine as a different point on a regular perk tree. If you take an aerial view, the connected shrines even take on the shape of one. There's no time limit or any other restrictions on how often you can spend a point on a new ability, so depending on how you approach the mod, you can either slowly progress through the new playstyle or instantly become a master. Since there's so many new abilities, we personally recommend you start off slow so you can get a feel for each of your new powers. A beginner Anti-Mage gains access to two core abilities, Psionic Blades and Occulent Sight. You can technically use whatever weapon you like while playing as an Anti-Mage, but against magical enemies there's nothing better than your new set of Psionic Blades. These will burn straight through your target's magicka, while also dealing extra damage to magical enemies. On top of that, power attacks with the blades send out waves of pure energy, giving you the ability to hit targets from afar. And finally, blocking with the blades creates a ward to protect yourself from all forms of magic. So the blades are a fantastic all-round weapon, both in the offense and defense. Your new Occulent Sight power will also be at the core of your build. As your eyes glow, you'll detect almost any form of magic, whether it's the spell in someone's hands or a creature with naturally high magicka. You can even detect enchanted items lying on the ground or magical items stored in containers. If you intend to seek out and destroy all forms of magic, your Occulent Sight will play a vital role. As you continue to progress as an Anti-Mage, you'll learn how to manipulate the magicka within yourself and others for a variety of effects. When you're hit by magical damage, you'll sometimes convert it into dark charges, represented by a layering orb effect that surrounds your character. These charges can then be used to heal yourself or be unleashed back towards an enemy. With your new Ignite power, you can cause the magicka within an enemy to simply erupt, dealing damage that scales alongside the target's own magicka. You'll also learn how to devour magic. This lets you simply eat and nullify all magical debuffs from yourself or an ally, or instead devour away any magical buffs on an enemy. Alternatively, you can choose to silence them. This temporarily cuts off a target's entire magical supply and interrupts any spells. A silenced magical foe will be forced to use physical attacks, but they'll also become immune to all incoming magical damage while silenced. As an Anti-Mage, you'll also gain powers that enhance your stealth and mobility. This is represented in a few new abilities, including Shadow Step, Mirror Image and your Psionic Sentries. Your new Shadow Step ability lets you quickly blink a few feet in any direction, handy for dodging projectiles or to get closer to an enemy. Alternatively, if you hold down the Shadow Step hotkey, you can teleport right behind the target you're aiming at, even if they're much further away. One of my favourite new powers is Mirror Image. This creates two illusions of your character, while making your actual character invisible for a short duration. This not only increases your damage output, but since it forces the aggro off your main character, it also gives you a fantastic opportunity to escape. The illusions take on the exact form of your character, including your weapons and armour. They also attempt to stay on your flank and attack when you do, so you have a kind of quasi-control over what they do. For the last of the stealth abilities, you have your Psionic Sentries. Up to 3 of these can be placed at a time, and while on the ground they'll detect any nearby magical sources, sort of like a mobile Occulent Sight. When a target comes within range of a sentry, they'll change from blue to red, which means they're within range for detonation. With another hotkey, you can then choose to detonate all or one of your sentries at once, dealing a huge amount of anti-magical damage to everything they hit. And finally, a master Anti-Mage can create an anti-magic zone. This magic spell lets you create a large area around your character where magic simply can't exist. Anything within the circle will have their magicka immediately drained, and any magic from the outside will simply bounce off its outer circle. Inside the zone, the Anti-Mage reigns supreme. From here you can go about destroying every bit of magic within Skyrim's borders. If you ever feel like mixing things up or taking certain abilities one step further, the Upgrade Shrine is the place to go. Deep within the Boglands you'll find a shrine that can change or upgrade many of your new powers in exchange for a Daedra heart. Change your sentries so that instead of detonation, they'll now directly attack any magical enemies that walk within range. Or maybe you want to increase the size of your anti-magical zone. Or you can even add a meld ability to your Psionic Blades, letting you launch devastating energy blasts from a crouched position. That's just a few of the many changes you can make, which we'll leave for you to discover for yourselves in game. Altogether, the Path of the Anti-Mage is one of the most complete playstyle introducing mods I've had the pleasure of playing through. Normally to get this level of depth you'd have to install multiple spell mods or even maybe a wider perk overhaul. But apart from maybe a few fitting armors, you can just jump straight into playing as an Anti-Mage. And in the end, you really do feel like a destroyer of magic. The new abilities also combine well with pretty much any other stealth based character. To give the mod a go, you can find everything you need down below. And as always, be sure to leave endorsements on any mod you enjoy. We'd like to thank G2A for sponsoring this episode, and thanks for watching.